Okay, first off, what does the sign look like and where is it located?
It's 3 cylindrical poles holding up the load of the sign. It's outdoors and fixed into the ground.
So you need to keep in mind that its application is outdoors, so its function is varying in weather conditions. It's also more susceptible to corrosion.
Right. We should also make sure it abides by all safety regulations, somewhere that doesn't obstruct the path and isn't an appropriate cost. Since there's lots of these signs around campus, let's say $150 per just the material of the sign, which gives us around $50 for the material of each pole.
Awesome. Now think of what's the most important functional requirements of the sign, and use them for our materials performance index calculations.
So the poles being able to support the vertical load of the sign would be one major functional requirement?
Yeah, that's right. But now you want to put these requirements in terms of mathematical equations for engineering. So for the vertical loads, each pole needs to withstand a certain uniaxial force. Let's say the sign is around 30 kilograms. So each pole needs to hold around 10 kilograms of the sign. And if an average person of 90 kilograms sits directly on top of the pole, approximately 1,000 newtons would be imposed on the pole. If we take a safety factor of 2, then the pole needs to withstand a uniaxial force of 2 kilonewtons.
So now what do we do?
What are you trying to optimize?
Probably either the cost or the mass.
Well, the poles are going to be placed in the ground, so minimizing mass isn't that important. Minimizing cost would be a lot smarter.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Since cost of the material will be per volume, the equation for cost is equal to the cross-sectional area times the length times the cost per unit volume.
Now let's combine our cost equation with our compressive strength equation to find our first MPI.
Compressive strength is measured in stress, so the functional requirement equation will simply be force over the cross-sectional area, and marrying the two equations will give total cost equal to force over stress multiplied by the height and the cost per volume of the material.
Great, now split the variables into geometric constraints, functional constraints, and material property indexes.
We would want to maximize stress per price per unit volume, so that would be our MPI. Using our functional requirement values, we would graph onto CES and get this plot.
As you can see, we have a lot of materials that fit this functional requirement. So what other functional requirements can you guys think of to narrow down our material search?
Since we're already talking about uniaxial loads, wouldn't buckling on the pole be a functional requirement as well?
It sure would. Now use the same steps that we used to find the first MPI for buckling.
Well, for the case of our pole, critical buckling load force will equal the following equation. If we combine this with our cost equation, we will get that the second MPI will be the square root of Young's modulus over the price per unit volume.
Using our functional requirements, we can graph this MPI onto CES and get this plot.
Is there any other functional requirements that you think will be suitable for this pole?
The poles should also withstand deflection from any horizontal forces imposed on it, like the impacts from people and the weather. According to NASA, an average person can exert 1,000 newtons in a static push. So if we put a safety factor of 1.5, then we would have a horizontal force of 1,500 newtons. And let's say that we don't want the sign to deflect more than around 10 centimeters from this force.
The maximum deflection would occur when a point force is applied to the pole at the very top. So our functional requirement equation would be deflection is equal to force multiplied by the height of the pole over 3 times Young's modulus times the moment of inertia.
Marrying this with our cost equation will give us an MPI of square root of Young's modulus over the price per unit volume. And using our functional requirement values, we can also plot this onto CES and get this plot.
With all of our functional requirements, we're still left with a lot of materials. Are there any other factors or any material groups you think are not usable so that we can narrow down this list?